Hey.
Alright, so TD Garden witnessed their second straight really terrible loss in the span of 24 hours as the Philadelphia 76ers, without Joel Embiid, the likely MVP from the regular season, was out. James Harden stepped up, had a great night, dropped 45 points on the Celtics' heads, and overall just got the upset done. And with that, the Sixers now hold the advantage in the series. They stole home court away, and it'll be on the Celtics to respond in Game 2 and try to get home court back at some point in Games 3, 4, or 6. Now, I just got done rewatching the game, and as a Celtics fan, it was a very tough but somewhat encouraging rewatch because anyone could have won this game. It went down to the wire. The Celtics did a lot of stupid things to help them lose the game, which was frustrating. But again, you have to give it to the Sixers, and especially James Harden, again, for the great performance. For starters, Doc Rivers actually came with a really solid game plan in this Game 1. Without the rim protection of Joel Embiid, it seemed that the Celtics made a point to get to the rim early and often, and that's what they did. They finished the first quarter shooting 17 of 20 from the field because they were pretty much living in the paint. I know overall the points in the paint, I think they ended up with 60-something, was a huge factor and a huge talking point throughout the game, which at a certain point, it almost felt like the Sixers wanted them to keep on driving to the rim. I say that because the Celtics were not an offense that lived at the rim during the regular season. They were a team that liked to get up threes and shoot a lot of threes and make a lot of threes for the most part. Boston only ended up shooting 26 threes, which I'm not sure if that's a season low, but that is definitely one of their lowest from this year. Anyway, the Sixers did a great job on the defensive side of the ball throughout this game. Even though there were a lot of points scored, they played a high-risk defense where they had a lot of high ball pressure, and again, they did get beat backdoor and beat to the rim a lot of the times, but at the same time, they didn't let the Celtics shoot that many threes. They ended up not shooting that well. And in total, the Sixers won the three-point shooting battle by 7 threes or 21 points, which is a really huge gap in the NBA. Then moving to the offensive side of the ball for the Sixers, they pretty much just spammed pick and rolls. I know Nikias on Twitter made a point that they were pretty much hunting the Al Horford, Jaylen Brown defensive duo whenever they got the chance, and specifically Al Horford was put through the ringer in this one. The Celtics' main issue, and it's an issue that we've seen time and time again when they're facing guards who are great in the pick and roll, and James Harden is no exception. He's one of the best the game of basketball has ever seen at controlling a pick and roll. But the issue that we've seen time and time again is that they play a drop, Al Horford sits back in the paint, and what this allows guys like James Harden, and we've seen it with Trae Young, we saw it with Steph Curry in the finals last year, is they can either get a shot straight off the screen since Al Horford is playing so far back, or Rob Williams, or whoever's in the game. Harden was able to either just pull up right off the screen for an open three, or he's allowed to just carve his way into the paint, take up space at whatever speed he wants, and that just helps him find passing lanes, open up his mid-range shot with that little step back that he was hitting so much in this game. Or again, just work the defense to find an open shot for others. And when looking at the box score after the game, I was just really confused why Horford played more minutes than Rob Williams and Grant Williams combined. In Rob Williams' case, he was also playing in the drop. That's what he normally plays when he's on the court, but he's just a little bit more agile and just a better defender in general than Al Horford. He's able to contest more shots and cover more ground than Al at his old age, no offense to Al. But I don't know why Grant Williams only got that one shift in the first quarter, because he's someone who's able to play at the level. He can switch on to James Harden. It's still not the best matchup for the Celtics defensively, but at least offers just a different look than continuously letting James Harden face the drop, get into the paint at will, and just find open shots. With Grant Williams, you can at least switch it, give him some more ball pressure, get the ball out of his hands early in the shot clock, and just go from there. And another note, after the game, a lot of the Celtics interviews made points about either sending more doubles at James Harden or just being better on the doubles in general, and that is something I completely agree with. I had 2 clips where the Celtics ended up sending some really soft double teams at James Harden, and he's just too good of a playmaker, of a facilitator. On both of these plays, it ended with a not as good Sixer on the court getting a wide open 3, And even though those guys aren't, great offensively, if you give them a wide open three in the playoffs, they're going to take it, and they will likely make it unless they are one of the really bad shooters on this team, which they weren't. And speaking of the Sixers role players, pretty much everyone stepped up in this game. PJ Tucker was great at doing his usual enforcer role. He was playing some really solid defense. He was attacking the glass. Again, just doing normal PJ Tucker things. Tyrese Maxey had a pretty rough offensive game, but still did a great job of applying pressure on the Celtics defense. And it was props to him for staying aggressive despite not making a lot of shots, but that aggression was necessary, especially with no Joel Embiid. Another wrench in the Boston game plan was that DeAnthony Melton was just a straight flamethrower in this one. He ended up making 5 of 6 threes off the bench in 25 minutes, and he also had some pretty big blocks down the stretch as well. He's just so good at making plays on both ends of the floor. Obviously, he's probably not going to shoot 5 of 6 from 3 and maintain that for the rest of the series, but again, in a game without Joel Embiid, that was just one of the many factors that went into the Sixers upset. And I also feel like I have to give a quick shout out to B-Ball Paul Reed, as he continues to just be so solid in replacing Joel Embiid at the starting center spot. He's not going to do anything crazy for you, but he will go get you a double-double and set some good screens. Now, on the Celtics side of things, the reason I'm not as down bad as the rest of the Celtics fandom is that they played a good game. You can hate on the defense all you want, and for good reason. They had a lot of mishaps, but they also had a lot of good defensive possessions as well. It just so happened that they had yet another game where they turned into mental midgets in the end of the fourth quarter. They slowed down the offense, they didn't keep the pressure up, they just had some really bad mistakes that I will get into when I break down some of the game or plays at the end of the game. But one positive was that Jason Tatum had an absolute masterclass performance that will unfortunately be forgotten by the masses, but Tatum was awesome in this one. I have been witness to a lot of Tatum games where he plays really good, but then he starts settling for jump shots and he doesn't stay aggressive, and he loses momentum because of that. But this one, he kept on attacking the rim, got 8 free throws in a game that did not have that many free throws, as a lot of people noted. And in the few threes he did take, he made them. He was 4 or 5 from the field, but again, he just continued driving to the rim. He did not settle. There was even one play, I don't think I clipped it, but it was usually like 99 times out of 100 is a pull-up 3 in transition, but Tatum, for some reason this game, finally knew better and decided to take it to the rim and get fouled. And it's the little things like that that I really appreciate from Tatum trying to step up and win the game for his team. And at the end of the day, it really is a shame that they weren't able to win this one for him, as the rest of the Celtics team just did not get to that same level. A lot of people were upset about Jaylen Brown only taking 10 shots, which is a very valid criticism, especially when you see that he made 8 of them. And after the game, I was right with you guys on that standpoint, but in rewatching it, I'm just kind of torn, because Jaylen Brown, looking at the box score, looks like he had a good game, could have done a lot more, should have been involved more, but then in rewatching, the second half, he just disappeared after making a couple of bad turnovers. He got blocked on the rim on one drive by DeAnthony Melton, and he just seemed to not be as aggressive as he usually is because of those plays. So on the one hand, I think Jaylen Brown needs to be more aggressive and assert himself more, especially in the second half of last night's game. But at the same time, when he did have the ball in his few possessions to open the second half, he just didn't really do much with those possessions. I know he had a couple of big shots down the stretch in the fourth quarter. He had a big 3, he had a nice lay-in in traffic. But I did, again, just have the feeling that whenever Jaylen Brown tried to do his typical Jaylen Brown, iso ball drives to the rim, the Sixers just did a really good job of defending them. And then I also want to talk about Marcus Smart. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying that he was getting cooked by James Harden and that he was the one responsible for the 45 points. And I just don't necessarily agree with those statements. I saw plenty of times where Smart was playing perfectly fine defense on James Harden, doing a good job of denying him the ball, making sure that he was, knocking him out of rhythm on some possessions. But the majority of Harden's damage was done just in the pick and roll, where it wasn't necessarily Smart's fault. It was more of the drop coverage scheme that was just allowing James Harden to get to his spots and hit his shots. In fact, I'd even go as far to say that Marcus Smart might have been the Celtics' best player in the fourth quarter. He was the one that was, doing the dirty work as usual, getting to the rim, cutting back door against the matchup zone the Sixers busted out a few times. He was facilitating really well as the point guard up until that last possession where he kind of, just awkwardly threw it off of Tatum out of bounds. But yeah, with a long list of issues of why the Celtics lost this game, I just don't think Marcus Smart deserves to be near the top of that list. Anyway, I have a few plays from the end of the game that I do want to break down a bit more specifically, starting with what I thought was the best play of the night from James Harden. Despite his 45 points, it was this assist right here. As Harden's setting up the offense here, you can see him tell DeAnthony Melton to move from the wing over to the opposite corner, as you'll see why in a second, but it's almost like Harden knows what is going to happen on this play, uses the Tobias Harris screen, attacks Tatum and Horford. Smart comes over to help, but Horford dives in too much, as if Harden knew this was going to happen before the play even started. He then kicks out to Tobias Harris, who hits the wide open three to tie the game with 4 minutes to go. Then to reiterate some of my Marcus Smart points, Sixers again going to this matchup 2-3 zone late in the game as they are down, and Tatum does a great job of getting the attention drawn on him. Horford makes a nice cut to the middle, and Harden just loses Marcus Smart on the baseline, who gets the and one to give the Celtics the bigger lead. Now on this play here, Sixers are down 3 with a minute left, and this is a pick and roll defense I wanted to highlight because I've seen the Celtics do this time and time before, yet they just refuse to do it for some reason in this game. I know that it's a pretty advanced defensive scheme, so maybe that's why, but anyway, pre-switching is what I'm talking about here, and you'll see they start the possession with Tatum guarding Paul Reed, because they know a pick and roll is coming for James Harden. Smart then switches on the Paul Reed. The Sixers though want to attack Al Horford in the pick and roll, so they bring up PJ Tucker, who's being guarded by Al Horford, to come set the screen for Harden. But as you can see, Smart pre-switches on the PJ Tucker, so it's Smart and Tatum guarding the pick and roll. They're able to defend it well because of that. But then you see Paul Reed coming back up to set another screen as he now has Al Horford on him. And for some reason, the Celtics don't pre-switch again, as Tatum is the high man and could easily switch to Paul Reed, and Horford could stay low, but they don't do that, and it ends up being another attack on Horford in the pick and roll. Paul Reed rolls to the rim, Harden finds him, and he gets fouled and hits both free throws, cutting the lead to 1. Then I also have to point out, as good as Malcolm Brogdon was in this game, it seems like the entire performance was thrown away at the last second, because I still have no idea what he was trying to do on this one. And I know there's a lot of Celtics fans who were complaining about, like, oh, the shot clock ran out, they should have had a shot clock violation, no fast break. First of all, that's just a stupid rule. The shot clock violation should not stop and make it a dead ball play. Second of all, it's okay to admit that Malcolm Brogdon just made one of the most boneheaded CTE plays in NBA playoff history. Then one last play, we have the James Harden game winner. Again, early screen set by PJ Tucker to get Al Horford switched on to him, and from here it's just an ISO pull-up 3, a shot that James Harden has hit countless times in his career. Horford actually got a good contest. Fortunately, shot goes in. And just for reference, I do want to point out that this wasn't the first time in this game that Harden tried a pull-up step-back 3 on Al Horford, and he didn't hit earlier. So it really was just a make-or-miss shot. He made it. Sixers won. Time to move on to game 2. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those good things. And if you're looking for more content from me, try following me on Twitter at KokinosNoah. I'll have that listed out below me. Have a good one.